It's been some time coming, I think.
It is huge. It's bigger than TV, movies, books, and it's still considered a stepchild because there is a lack of understanding about the video game industry. Immutable, they've been very successful in games and crypto. They've launched 300 games. This year alone in 2024, they have launched 1 game per day.
Per day?
Per day. NFL Rivals, they drive about 2.5 times the revenues that Immutable drives in terms of NFT sales with effectively 1 game. They've brought 5 million players to that 1 game. They partner with the NFL, the highest media value property in the United States. They're talking to other leagues that are the highest media value property in the world.
The launch team wishes you good luck and Godspeed.
Space Monkeys blasting off with Nick Douzinas and Angie Dalton. Friends of the channel here to talk about a new exciting project, Dot Play. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Very nice to have you both back and have you both working together, right? We've had you each working in gaming separately in the ecosystem and now joining forces. I think this is the right move.
We agree.
Absolutely.
It's been some time coming, I think, right? Since we started working in the ecosystem.
Yes.
So
And we have different perspectives and similar kind of passions and similar interest areas, so it all worked out.
Could you come together and help us understand the landscape of gaming in the broader crypto industry? What does building and investing in games look like outside of Polkadot?
we started experimenting with a number of different chains. So you had obviously sort of Ethereum, where you have sort of smart contracts, which can be quite limiting, but it's very quick sort of to develop and get on it. Then you had example like EOS, which was supposed to be, I don't know, Ethereum on steroids or what they were calling. Different implementations, but none of them, at least from what I've seen from the infrastructure level, had sort of that both robustness and future-proof that Polkadot is sort of providing right now.
Yeah, so in the broader gaming landscape, I have, so I have a traditional gaming background, so traditional finance background, and within that for 20 years focused on media, and I was kind of the stepchild of media focused on video games since around 2003. So I've been in this space, deep in this space for a long time, and I'm very passionate about it. And it is huge. It's bigger than TV, movies, books. It is huge, and it's still considered a stepchild because there is a lack of understanding about the video game industry because it's constantly changing and the behavior is constantly changing, and we're seeing that again. But what I'm seeing in crypto is a completely different thing that is not at all like the mass market gaming, and it's more of a genre. That genre is speculation and trading, and that's okay. There are many game genres. There's first-person shooters, Call of Duty, for example.
Sure.
Mobile casual, which is what my mom plays Mahjong on her phone. There is the UGC, which we talk about a lot, user-generated content platform like Roblox. And then crypto is a speculation and trading game. So if you look at a company like Immutable, they've been very successful in games and crypto.
Sure.
And I respect their passion and a lot of the technology that they've developed in terms of layer 2 tech, et cetera. They've launched 300 games. This year alone in 2024, they have launched 1 game per day.
Per day?
Per day. That doesn't look anything like traditional gaming because a game like Call of Duty would take 4 years and $400 or $500 million to create.
Right.
And so if they're doing it in 1 day, what does that look like if you actually go down to the granular numbers? It's like 25 to 50 players, and some people are buying that token, playing that game, playing it out, and then leaving.
Right.
And that's it, and going on to the next one. And that's why there's like 1 a day. So when we got into the space back in 2018, we thought, okay, we want to take part in investing and building this Web3 gaming ecosystem in a different way, which was social capital, identity, trading, all the things that gamers already do. Buy, sell, and trade digital assets, and buy skins, which are effectively clothing, effectively social capital, identity, showing who you are.
Yeah.
And we found that in Mythical, so we invested very early in Mythical. Not surprising, they have a traditional background. And so their game, NFL Rivals, looks very different than anything we've seen in crypto. Just to put some numbers around that. So they drive about 2.5 times the revenues that Immutable drives in terms of NFT sales with effectively one game. And the reason for that is because they've brought 5 million players to that one game.
Right.
Not if 25 or 50.
Yeah.
They partner with the NFL, which is the highest media value property in the United States. They're talking to other leagues that are the highest media value property in the world. So it's a different game they're playing.
Yeah.
No pun intended. They're trying to go after hundreds of millions of players, not the crypto community. One of the earlier panels today pointed out that the crypto community in total is the equivalent to the number of users of the internet, around 400 million, around the number of users of the internet back in the year 2000. So what we want to do is go after highest media value. So that's the way I think of value in media. It's audience size and it's engagement. So how many people are there? I don't want 25 to 50. I want millions.
Right.
And how much time are they spending? So that's where we're thinking.
Beautiful.
We spend a lot of time because there's a lot of announcements, right, that happen in the crypto space. But once you start looking into the data, that's where you see sort of the big difference. And I think that's where, when you have examples like Mythical, where it seems that they're focused on what they're best at, which is let me create a great game, a very good user experience that people get onboarded, and they use Web3 more like an offboarding mechanism rather than an onboarding one. So, because a lot of times with games, we talk about digital assets and all of these things. Who cares? I care about my digital assets in a game only if I'm passionate about the game. So for me to care about my warlord or my sword, I have to spend some hours in it. And then if somebody tells me at that point, hey, by the way, you own that, and you can do whatever you want with it. It doesn't matter if I have to go through 10 steps, KYC, wallets, things, I'll go through it because I'm already passionate. I think one of the problems that we've seen in the crypto space is that we're trying to start this the opposite way. Let's start with a financial incentive.
Right.
Which then on its own becomes a quest. Let me get to that financial incentive. And once that's, you've achieved it, there's nothing for you to continue.
Well, what I just heard you describe happening mostly is basically meme coins with a little game attached to it. And in fact, we're kind of seeing, honestly describe meme coins, they launch a little game on the side. It's almost like they all do now, right? And it's kind of like out of the box little Tetris games or drop games or whatever, right? But when we talk about something like Mythical, this is totally different. We're kind of using Web3 or blockchain to enhance the gamer experience, but really from the other side. So that being said, Mythical was a lot of work, right? 2 years, maybe more to bring them on. Lots of technical pain, totally worth it.
It will be.
Of course. But what I'm hearing is, what you guys want to do is really streamline this process.
Yes.
Bring down the cost, bring down the pain, lower the barriers to entry, and bring on more Mythicals.
As a UNA, like a year ago when we heard, or a bit over a year ago, when Mythical was announced that they were coming, we were super excited because that's exactly the type of injection that we needed into the ecosystem. But unfortunately, what we all found out is that for them to be able to actually launch, there was no teams, sort of onboarding teams, no infrastructure ready for them. And that was part of what we're trying to solve here. We need to make sure that whether that's the next Mythical or the next game that's launching on Mythical can have the best user experience and onboarding into our ecosystem. Match them with the right teams, find them the right tooling. If they need support, whether that's financial or otherwise, guide them in the right way, because we need to cut that time from announcing to launching.
So once the fit is found, we're going to have a way to deliver them, or deliver Polkadot to them, maybe is the way to say it.
So I was going to say, I don't think we're going to go after the next Mythical because we already have Mythical. They have a marketplace where you can bring assets from other games and trade those assets. So currently they already trade a massive amount of CS skins, Counter-Strike skins, which is a Web 2 game. And those are all NFTs. They are all traded and recorded on blockchain, will be recorded on Polkadot. So we can use that infrastructure that they've built. Also, they are working on big games. They're working on the NFL. They're working on Pudgy Penguins. we're going to be taking a different approach, which is we're going to be building smaller games that could potentially become bigger franchises. And we're thinking about, let's say we build something small with a smaller developer, we put a little bit of money into it, we create a revenue share so that the treasury can make money too, the bulk of the money, and then we will bring in new superstars. So we have IP relationships already baked. So Mercedes Vernado is our first that we've signed on. She is really excited about coming to Polkadot. She has 6.5 million Instagram followers. She is a rock star wrestler. She had a part in The Mandalorian. I love Star Wars, so that made me really happy. And she's moved to AEW, and her role there is CEO. So that's her title.
I see.
The audience is not quite sure if she's actually the CEO or because there's a chairman.
It's a gimmick,
Tony Khan.
Yeah, okay.
But I don't know if it's a gimmick. We don't know.
That's part of the wrestling.
So that's part of the fun. So anyway, she's excited about being in Polkadot. So let's say we build a game around her, a tycoon game where we're building her squad, where she's fighting, where she's got the pink, and all of a sudden she's wearing the pink sequins, which she already wears, and then she's at her fight, champion night, and Connor Daly rolls up in his Polkadot race car in the game.
Connor Daly's another superstar?
Connor Daly's going to be another superstar.
Yeah,
he's on our games advisory committee, and he's going to be a superstar.
Okay.
So now let's say that we've got narratives going around these superstars, and there are others that we can't talk about now that we're working on that are enormous. But anyway, let's say we take those and we take that narrative that we're building in this game, and we might bring it transmedia out to TV, out to movies, out to other mediums. So we're really always going to be thinking about how do we grow this franchise and make it more valuable over time, and we're going to start small.
Building small games around big stars.
Yeah.
And lots of people interacting with these stars, playing the game, and then the off-ramp is this whole Web3 world.
Yeah.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. So this is called .play. You're leveraging a few resources in the Polkadot ecosystem. One is the Web3 Foundation.
Yeah.
So you got a decentralized futures grant. What are the terms of this deal? What does this look like?
So, I mean, for us, I think that was very important in the beginning. I mean, we've been both very passionate about OpenGov and following and trying sort of to participate.
Yeah.
We wanted this to be an ecosystem effort. So we wanted to make sure that the DFF is there in order to provide us an operational budget.
Yeah.
So we can be able to have our team, so we can be able to go to these events and support all the activities that we needed. And the reason now that we're turning to the Treasury is that we need those funds in order to be able to go and sort of promote all of these things. So the bounty is for the money that we're looking to deploy into all of these projects. The DFF is there to create our operational budget so we can move forward.
Okay.
The way I would think about it is the DFF money is to build a business development gaming unit in Polkadot, where we are kind of traffic cop, virtual hub, whatever you want to call it, and people come in and we direct traffic.
Yeah.
It might be to Yuna, it might be to Moonbeam, and we have people from all these different, anyone who has gaming expertise. If they're not already in the circle, raise your hand and come in. You know what I mean? Like we're trying to make sure that we can be like the go-to hub and help direct traffic, and also educate, and also go to every conference, and also speak on behalf of Polkadot about what it means to build in the Polkadot ecosystem and all of those things, and all the tools that Nick has already been building and interacting with. On the bounty side, think of it as a games publisher. So that's what it looks like. These deals we're going to be doing look like games publishing deals. That's
what the bounty is doing. It's publishing games. And otherwise, the Web3 Futures grant is allowing you to operate and to vet opportunities. This is right?
And educate.
Yeah. And the unique thing about the bounty, the spend proposal that you're doing right now, is this, you mentioned it earlier, this profit share with the Treasury. So what does that look like? This is pretty unique. We haven't really seen this before.
I think it goes back to the whole publishing sort of idea. We've up to now, we've seen the Treasury being used in a number of different ways, but never thinking how we can have a return back into sort of the Treasury.
Sure.
And we want to experiment with that. We want to see how that model looks. Is it something that can be sustainable? Because I think ideally for us, we can be able to have a bounty, which if we're deploying sort of that capital in the right way, we should keep replenishing it, not having sort of to use the Treasury as a piggy bank the whole time.
So we publish games, those games have revenue, and a piece of that revenue goes back to the treasury. Brilliant stuff.
Yeah.
How would some of these games you mentioned, what do those revenue models look like? How do games make money?
It's extremely complicated. In every single transaction, there are multiple parties, multiple kind of weights that those parties have. So, for example, if I bring, Mercedes to a game, we might have more power in that conversation because she has 6.5 million followers relative to, let's say, the studio that is going to be creating that game. Or she may not, because we might have some superstar rockstar, studio game developer. Like, it all depends on the players around the table. So there's studios, there are game developers, there's IP, there's us who are bringing it all together, and we figure out revenue splits. It's all a negotiation. And we have John Linden on our team who is going to be helping us with all of these negotiations. He's spent 25 years aggressively negotiating these contracts. I wouldn't want to do anything without running it by him.
Wow.
And also Aaron Goolsby, who was one of the original members of Wizards of the Coast, Magic the Gathering, which is a massive game.
Huge,
He's seen so many negotiations. So we have people on our team who are going to, we're going to figure out who to pull in when based on, what we need to win a negotiation and to get the best deal for Polkadot.
Good stuff. What are some gaming trends coming up? Maybe younger generation, what are they looking at? Where should dot play be moving and the Polkadot ecosystem be moving? Well, what are we looking at?
I mean, it's pretty crazy how I think the gaming industry is shifting. I remember, gaming being a single sort of player experience, never thinking I could ever play with another friend.
Yeah.
Internet comes along and suddenly you can multiplayer.
Yeah.
Telephone or mobile phones come along, suddenly I can play on the go. But it seems right now that, at least from the experience that I'm seeing with my kids, they see themselves more like creators now rather than players. So it seems that kids are jumping into all of these different platforms, whether that's Roblox, whether that's Fortnite or other sort of type of platform like this, and they're creating their own stuff. They're building their own communities. And I think that's a very powerful new way to create sort of games. And I think Polkadot, or generally sort of Web3, is the perfect infrastructure to be able to both secure and assign value in the right way to all of these players. So it's quite fascinating what's happening.
Anything specifically about Polkadot you think can uniquely serve these potential use cases, this future?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, one of the things that is quite unique to Polkadot, once from an infrastructure at least perspective, is that the choice that we can give to game developers, whether that's called you want to do EVM, whether you want to do on pallets, is quite unique compared to most of other ecosystem right now. So I think the flexibility that it can offer and the scalability that it can offer in the future is really unique to Polkadot.
From my perspective, what back in 2019 when I was evaluating Ethereum and Bitcoin as protocols to build mass market AAA games on.
Yeah.
A big media company asked me to dig into this. I was going to dig into it anyway. And I just concluded that these high transaction fees, like, that'll never work. It doesn't scale. It'll never work for gaming. It works for other things. Bitcoin, not even a conversation, and so then I stumbled upon Polkadot and just thought the design of it lend itself to mass market. It has kind of this future-proof security built in. And the other thing that I think is really important is the ethos. Because I think the new generation of gamers are all about democratizing everything. So there's this world of crypto that we're in, and we're a small group of people. I think when we get to the next generation, that's going to be most of the people. So I think that the democratization of games, content, and this idea that Nick mentioned is so important. The gamers and the players are the creators. They're inextricable. So in the future, you're not going to go to play Call of Duty first-person shooter. You're going to go into your space. You're going to invite your friends to play some games that you created. Right now, my daughter, maybe not right. She had a couple of years ago, I don't know if it's still active, a dress store that she invites her friends to after school in Roblox.
Wow.
And, she's pricing them and selling them and, going to I call it the lemonade stand. It's like the online lemonade stand.
Exactly.
And then the other thing that's happening, this is super important. The tools have become so advanced that we call it, what we always say is studio level tools, meaning Activision studio, Electronic Arts studio, big studios.
Yeah.
Studio level tools are in the hands of a 15-year-old in her bedroom. And therefore, we're going to see this mass convergence where these kids, indie developers, people everywhere are going to be like, you know what? I think I'm just going to create my own game. And
Sure.
these guys are spending a lot of money to create for creators, and I'm going to become a game developer. I think everybody's going to become a game developer. I mean, it sounds crazy, but
That's wild stuff.
next generation, that's what I think we're going to see.
Creativity's unlocked, and collaboration you were mentioning in there too, with democratizing everything.
Yeah.
One thing I haven't heard enough about, and I'm going to grill John on it next time he's here,
Yeah.
is the Mythos Foundation. I mean, it sounds like this is really being built out, but kind of quietly right now. So I'm curious to see what that looks like
Yep.
when we see, the boardroom come on chain and then interact with these creators. That's going to be an interesting fusion.
It
And
is.
it's cool that it's going to happen on Polkadot.
Yeah.
And I think it works. I mean, we're proud in Polkadot that we're really good at onboarding developers
Yeah.
or builders.
Yeah.
And I think what we're trying to do is in the right direction. I mean, you see a lot of other gaming chains saying, hey, we want to onboard the next billion users. We want to onboard the next billion, creators here. We want
Cool.
to, the next
Yeah.
billion sort of builders.
Right.
And that's, I think, what Polkadot is good at.
Users is a bit of a rude term.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Passé, it's done.
totally.
Let's go to a new stuff.
Players.
Players.
Theirs is good.
So, speaking of governance, the referendum to fill the gaming bounty, the .play bounty now is live. It's ref number
968.
968. So if you haven't voted, do check it out, ref 968, and let's get that through and get these guys going. We're so lucky to have you on our side working in the ecosystem, and thank you for coming on the show and sharing the vision with us today. Will be really interesting to see where we're at a year from now. It'd be great to see those first, revenue checks rolling into the treasury. I think that's going to change the game once you guys do it. Thanks for all your work, and thanks for being on the show.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.